Hello and welcome to the show supported by Mediaproxy. Now, if you caught the KitPlus news roundup this week, you'd have seen today's guests with a quick overview of their latest news.
Yes, for the first time in 2022, we're welcoming back a well-known face on the show to expand on these headlines. So, big welcome to Bryce Button from AJA. Hi, Bryce. Good to see you.
Hi, gentlemen. Great to see you guys too. Always wonderful to be back on the show. So, thank you for having us today to talk about our new announcements.
So Bryce, as we saw in the news, you've been pretty busy, and I think the first thing we should chat about is the release of your first new product for 2022, the IO-X3, a mobile Thunderbolt 3 I/O device. Tell us more about this.
Yes, indeed. It's great to be launching a brand new device here early in 2022. And this is the IO-X3, as you mentioned. It's a brand new Thunderbolt 3 enabled I/O box. The IO-X3 will, in shape and form, feel very familiar to our previous users of the IO-XT, although there's a lot that's changed under the hood. So, in essence, it's Thunderbolt 3 enabled, meaning it'll work with all the nice new Macs that have been coming out and HP machines, etc., that support Thunderbolt 3. It's got 4 bi-directional 3G SDI ports, meaning that you can capture HD and 2K all the way up to 60p, including HDR and all that wonderful bit depth when it comes to color. And we have a great new feature in terms of the ability with the supporting desktop software 16.2 to actually utilize the HDMI out and show all 4 sources that might be coming in simultaneously on an HDMI display. And this is going to be really great for folks that are utilizing the IO-X3 for their streaming workflows. So whether that's with vMix, OBS Studio, Telestream, etc. You're also going to find that it supports a great range of LUTs now in terms of the ability to deal with cube support. There's also a great feature allowing up to 30p for 12-bit, which is again helpful for people that are doing sort of high-end work projects that require 4 color, 12-bit RGB paths, etc. The box also supports up to 16 channels of SDI if you bring in audio over, and combined with AJA Control Room, which is part of our desktop software that we'll talk about in a minute, the ability to utilize H.264 files for both capture and play out with AJA's free software control room. Really nice device, a very familiar form factor, the ability to utilize analog audio with your mixers, etc. I think folks are really going to like the new IO-X3. So you'll want to visit the website and dig in further there to see how it can fit into your workflows. But for the predominant HD with HDR support going on in most of the industry at the moment, you're going to find this a really flexible and affordable solution.
So, and alongside this, you've developed the desktop version 6.2 software, which provides desktop software support for all Kona and IO products. So what features are going to be, what are we going to get excited about with this?
Indeed, Matt. Thanks for bringing that up. So the desktop software is almost as important to release as the hardware here. It's one of our most powerful packages in a very long time. It's desktop software 16.2. It includes support for all the latest Mac OS, Windows, and of course Linux systems when it comes to the operating platforms. It also includes support for all the M1 chip variations that are currently on the market from Apple, meaning all your new MacBook Pros, whether you're using the Max chip, etc., will already be well supported with this software. There's a lot of great additions in terms of capabilities. One is, for instance, a great new firmware package for the Kona 5 with a high-end desktop I/O card, including a 12-bit file support process, which will allow you to capture 12-bit RGB 444 color with BT 2020 space, all the way through, capture, playback, output as desired. So that's really going to help a lot of the virtual production workflows that are going on, as well as virtual studio work across the board, and is essentially going to be extremely helpful for narrative episodic pieces, whereby our users are trying to get the most out of that look and ensure that they can support all their HDR workflows, etc. Of course, it also has support for the new IOX3. It includes things like new LUT support when it comes to the control panel, and this is cube support, which makes it a lot easier to work with packages that are producing LUTs, creating your own LUTs, taking them through. It's a very common format for lookup tables, and it's going to be extremely helpful. Combined with HA Control Room, which is our free software, part of the desktop software package, you're even going to be able to play H.264 files now and play them out. You can pick these up from your nonlinear editors. All the packages out there, including Resolve, are supported for playback there and capture, which is wonderful in terms of smoothing out workflows for a lot of different pipelines. New LUT support, and what I mean by that is we now have cube support for your lookup tables, making it a lot easier to bring in lookup tables from software packages, load them into the control panel, play them out. If you're creating your own, away you go. You have the ability to work with a range of streaming applications now, including OBS Studio, which is a new addition, and we'll talk about that a bit more when it comes to the SDK support. But essentially what you're able to do with a box like IOX3 mentioned earlier is you can have multiple streams coming into that software. You can even monitor them all at the same time. If you've got an affordable HDMI display you're plugging into, and you can use that software to do your switching for your live streams. So we really think we're making this package extremely flexible, and I really do encourage your users to download the latest version here for the most compatibility when it comes to your operating systems, when it comes to your software packages, and making use of all these high-end workflows that are now available essentially in a completely free software package.
So tell us now about your new partnerships with OBS Studio, and I guess what OBS users can look forward to now.
Yeah, indeed, Simon. So OBS is very popular streaming software for those that don't know about it. It's got thousands and thousands and thousands of users. And one of the great things is it can handle multiple incoming streams. So, like we mentioned with IOX3, where you've got 4 inputs that might be HD inputs, you can utilize the new OBS Studio software and work in conjunction with a card like the IOX3 or the device like IOX3, but you can use it with Kona 5 and other cards of ours as well. You're able to basically do some really great sophisticated live streaming where you're switching between the sources, you're adding graphic layers, all that kind of thing, in a platform that's readily available to tons of users. So joining what we've previously done with vMix and partners like Telestream with Wirecast, etc. So this really expands the software pool that's available for simple and powerful, streaming out. So it's been great working with them, and a lot of that is based upon the fact that we've always had a very powerful SDK, and they've indeed been able to take advantage of our new OpenSource SDK.
So can you share some more details about what this means for the larger OEM community, maybe even what this means for just generally the manufacturing in broadcast?
Yeah, so it's pretty damn exciting at this point in time to be able to share with you that we've taken our really famous and well-respected software development kit, which has always been a proprietary item, and developers can sign on to that program. They get a lot of support. They have the ability to utilize hardware during testing phases and various things like that, and actually bring a version of it, missing some of the completely proprietary things that we need to hang on to for that heavier OEM work, to the open source community. And this is in fact what was utilized by OBS in terms of creating their new version of OBS Studio. So it has a big impact because, like most things open source, it means that AJ is contributing to the world's software development here. by giving over all our key components and making it simpler for many smaller developers especially, who've had great ideas, who are excited about our equipment and wanting to utilize it, in their particular solution packages. So you're going to be able to go to aja.com, simply take a look at our developer page, and from there you'll find the links to the GitHub repositories. And you can utilize this software completely freely, and try and put out your really exciting ideas without any cost. Obviously, if you need more sophisticated support and the rest, then we'd encourage you to sign up for our full developer program. And with that, of course, there's a slight cost, but you're getting AJ support and the ability to deal with our engineers directly. But in terms of expanding the usage of our products across the market, and for many developers that like to experiment and try, nothing stops you from bumping up from the open source version, of course, further down the road if you find you really want to utilize some of the highest end features that AJ makes available. But this is going to be really great for the developer community. I think it's wonderful that we can be contributing to this open source universe and making sure that all of us enable solutions that really work for a wide range of needs. And if it's going to be anything like it's been with our standard OEM base, we know that's a lot of industries, categories, and solutions that people are able to creatively explore and come up with for their particular workflow needs. And we really hope our users enjoy this.
So we've been hearing a lot about shows this year, things hopefully starting to get back to normal. Will we be seeing AGA at the major shows this year? NAB, I guess, is coming up in April.
Trade shows. So the reality for us, as the year goes, we're basically treating these things and applying our decision making based upon the realities that everyone still faces, whether that's travel restrictions, whether it's COVID outbreaks, whether it's the ability to move from one place to another for a lot of our partners and or attendees. And so we're kind of taking it conservatively to a certain degree. In other words, we will be at certain shows, not necessarily others. We have to be cognizant of what the realities are on the ground. And the truth is, all vendors this year are still facing a huge amount of supply chain issues. What makes sense, and what are you trying to achieve with each particular event? Like many companies, we'll be pursuing sort of hybrid experiences where a certain amount of our activities will occur online and a certain amount in person where it makes most sense. So when it comes to each show, over time, we'll be letting our channel know and our users know what the scope is of our involvement with a particular show. But I do think people are thirsting to spend more time around each other again. It's always nice to be able to see a bit of equipment in the flesh. And we will do our best to do what makes the most sense for each particular time period and each particular location. We can't pretend that the entire planet has moved along at the same pace, and therefore we will have to apply, obviously, subjective and objective decision-making based upon the particular show, its location, and what the realities are that we all need to face at the time.
So before we go, are we going to also, in 2022, shows or no shows, see any new products from you? What's coming up? What's on the horizon? Some good stuff?
Well, Matt, as you know, we never fully broadcast our roadmaps in advance. So I'm not going to tell you particular products at particular times or anything like that. But I think when it comes to AHA and all the themes that we've been exploring for the last while, including things like HDR, and by the way, over the last week here, we just did release a new version of mini-config software. And so for any of our users, especially who are utilizing our HDMI to SDI or SDI to HDMI converters, including Hi-Fi 4K Plus or Hi-Fi 12G, for instance, a lot of these mini converters have been augmented, especially around HDR workflows and things like Dolby Digital Audio. with some great new features, the ability to take what's coming from either the SDI or HDMI source and convert them, whether it's over SDI VPID metadata, or taking an HDMI source with its metadata and making sure it stays clean automatically into an SDI feed. So it'll do all that for you, as well as give you the ability to override, because on occasion you want to make some particular tweaks, especially if you're working on set, that kind of thing. And also some great new audio support in the Dolby side in terms of pass-through with Dolby Digital Plus, Dolby Digital, and even Atmos audio. So that's great for, people needing to transfer the surround sound capabilities in its clean form, as well as a couple of other enhancements that work across like our 12GM with dual link support and that type of thing for effectively making sure that you can handle different types of connectivity if you happen to be utilizing 3G SDI, even though it's a 12G SDI capable box. So great amount of new features there. I think, as you might be able to predict, we'll keep augmenting our great new gateway products, whether that's the Bridge NDI 3G, the Bridge Live. These are really essential products when you're trying to centralize and work remotely to feed out to remote, with the ability to add new features and so on. These boxes certainly give us great platforms to keep building on. Streaming is going to continue to be really important, and you can expect a couple of new items in that arena. But yeah, we'll continue to keep exploring. There are many different ways to skin the IP cat, for instance, and as brutal as that may sound. And we'll be sure to be there with various options available as well. So, the key thing to do there is just keep watching AJA.com. Look for our announcements on social media or follow our RSS feeds off of the website. The numerous ways to keep in touch with what AJA is up to here.
Thank you, Bryce. Always good to get an update. And of course, do check out aja.com for all the information that Bryce has been talking about. Thank you very much to Mediaproxy for their support of KitPlus TV, and thank you for watching. Don't forget, you can listen to all the KitPlus interviews on our podcast. Just search for KitPlus in your podcast directory or head over to kitplus.com/podcast. We'll see you next time.